Okay, so this is Bill Janklow, also known as William Janklow, Janklo. Now, Bill Janklow, he was the Attorney General for South Dakota. He was the governor for South Dakota. And I want to read this passage real quick. So, another legal officer of the Attorney General of South Dakota, during the Oglala episode, William Janklow is quoting as heaven said, "The only way to deal with Indian problems in South Dakota is to put a gun to the AIM leaders' heads and pull the trigger." William Janklow had taken his first job after law school as head of the legal services program on the reservation he was serving effectively. In 1967, however, a 15-year-old girl accused William Janklow of raping her while he was her legal guardian. The hospital records included evidence suggesting that an attack had occurred. William Janklow was not prosecuted at the time after the FBI smoothed over the incident. In September 1974, during the Banks Means trial, the charges resurfaced. The would-be Attorney General refused to answer his summons. The BIA refused to deliver the subpoenaed file, and the FBI refused to cooperate in any way. Nevertheless, William Janklow was charged by Judge Mario Gonzalez with assault with intent to commit rape and carnal knowledge of a female under 16. William Janklow denied the charges and refused to appear in court. The charges were rejected repeatedly by the FBI, and the government did its best to thwart the investigation. And then in March 1975, the victim died as a result of a hit-and-run accident on a deserted road. So this comes from this book, 100 Banned Books. And so this has a lot to do with the Wounded Knee incident in 1973 and the Oglala shootout on June 26, 1975, which has to do with Leonard Peltier. And then there was all this libel. He tried to sue the books. And so here is the book right here. This is the book, 100 Banned Books. And so that's where I'm getting In the Spirit of Crazy Horse. In the Spirit of Crazy Horse was a banned book. And what had happened was this guy that I just pointed to, William Janklow, he called from his office while he was the Attorney General, or the governor. While he was the governor, he was telling bookstores to take the books off their shelves. And then he sues them for $100 million or some shit, and then he ends up losing. And so I want to read another section. Here's the banned book right here. A lot of times, when it comes to people banning books, why do people want books banned? When you read this, there's a lot of good scholarship. You know, this guy took a lot of time and effort to put all this together. Why would you want something suppressed? Why would you want something banned? Because you don't want people to know. You don't want people to know what's inside the book. And so this has to do with Leonard Peltier was just released. Leonard Peltier goes to jail for 50 fucking years. This guy, they say he's got the third longest gubernatorial tenure. He was the governor of South Dakota for 16 years. And then it does talk about this Jancita Eagle Deer. So let me read about that. So in 1974, a month before the election for state attorney general, for which Janklow was a candidate, Jancita Eagle Deer filed a petition through her attorney Larry Leventhal and tribal advocate Dennis Banks to disbar William Janklow from keeping him from practicing in tribal court. According to Banks, in early 1967, Eagle Deer, then a 15-year-old Lakota schoolgirl at the Rosebud boarding school on the Rosebud Indian Reservation, reported to her school principal that William Janklow, her legal guardian and for whom she was working as a babysitter, had raped her on January 13th. So this is 1967. She's saying that this had happened in 1967, and he was born in 1939. So that would have made him right around 30 years old. So you have the Bureau of Indian Affairs, then responsible for law enforcement on the reservation, allegedly sent the police investigation case file of the rape for which it had custody to its Aberdeen, South Dakota office to keep it away from the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Court. Judge Mario Gonzalez of the Rosebud Indian Reservation Tribal Court granted Eagle Deer's petition to disbar William Janklow from practicing law on the Rosebud Reservation. At the request of Eagle Deer's attorneys, the tribal court issued a misdemeanor arrest warrant for Janklow based on sworn testimony on Eagle Deer's behalf, since it was generally believed at the time that tribal courts had jurisdiction over non-Indians. But no arrest was made. William Janklow denied all allegations connected with the rape case. No criminal charges were filed. In 1975, William Janklow was investigated by the FBI before being nominated as a candidate for appointment to the board of the Legal Services Corporation. The White House counsel under President Gerald Ford forwarded its recommendation to the Senate Judiciary Committee, saying its investigation of the rape case concluded that there was insufficient evidence. Ford's appointment of William Janklow to the LSC's board as its first president was later confirmed by the Senate. In April 1975, Jancita Eagle Deer was killed at night in a hit-and-run collision in southern Nebraska. After her death, Jancita's stepmother, Delphine Eagle Deer, sister of Leonard Crow Dog, advocated on the young woman's behalf. And then Delphine Eagle Deer was murdered in a still unsolved case about 9 months later in 1976. Now, doesn't that sound peculiar as hell, to say the least? Peculiar as hell. Because you got this guy right here, right? William Janklow. And boy, ain't that a looker, huh? So this fucking guy, I mean, boy, he's got a smile that'll just warm the heart of the coldest blooded person. No, look at this guy. So William Janklow is being accused of raping this 15-year-old. And then he's the attorney general, he's the governor. While he's governor, he's telling people to have the book removed. And then the 15-year-old girl, Jancita, is going to get ran over. She's going to get ran the fuck over in Nebraska. And I don't know if the whole story is even told. Was it a hit and run and then nobody said a damn word? Was it a hit and run and then nobody said a damn word? And then the woman that took up her case was hit too. Jancita Eagle Deer. And then her stepmother, Delphine Eagle Deer. She's going to get murdered too 9 months later in 1976. Does that sound suspicious as hell, to say the least? Jancita Eagle Deer. Here's Jancita Eagle Deer right here. She got ran the fuck over. Jancita Eagle Deer got ran the fuck over. And then the other woman that took up her case is going to get killed too. Does it say? It said that she was raped at gunpoint. William Janklow had raped her at gunpoint the night before. It says he had been driving her home from her work as his family's babysitter. The principal took her to the hospital where a doctor and nurse examined her. In his memoir, Dennis Banksy, an AIM founder who became involved in the case in 1974, said his review of the records showed the medical personnel said that the girl was in shock. He believed that she had been assaulted. The BIA police conducted the investigation on the reservation, but the FBI didn't think there was sufficient evidence to prosecute. The journalist Steve Hendricks also wrote that there was evidence of an assault, but the case was not prosecuted. The writer Peter Matthewson included a statement by Banks on this issue in his book, In the Spirit of Crazy Horse. Publication in the paper book was delayed